Everyone can stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call.
Councilmember Crompton.
Here.
Emerling Baker.
Here.
Farrell.
Here.
Happy.
Here.
Keller.
Excuse.
Miller.
Here.
Mayor Fowler.
Here. All righty. Additions or amendments to the agenda? Any? No? Okay. Move to adoption of consent agenda?
Move to adopt consent agenda, including approval of February 12th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes and approval of February 12th, 2024 City Council workshop minutes and ratification of bills in the amount of $119,576.24.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All right, roll call vote?
Councilmember Crompton.
Aye.
Emerling Baker.
Aye.
Farrell.
Aye.
Happy.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mayor Fowler.
Aye. All right, appearance of interested citizens. Okay, thank you. Hey, Mrs. Pruitt?
I ate dinner. So the only thing I really want to say is that one casualty of the shortened work week for the staff is the council packets. A lot of people scramble on Monday afternoon, Monday morning to get the add-ons that have been omitted because there's no work past Thursday. So I don't know if there's some way that it can be worked on, that those things can get into the council packet before the weekend. And if not, then maybe just hold it off until the next council meeting. Because I mean, you guys had a lot of reading in this last council packet, and then there were 3 addendums added to afterwards, some of which were short, some not so short. And it's just, I mean, that needs to be fine tuned.
Thank you. Okay. And that is no other citizens. Public hearing?
No public hearing today.
Okay, action items?
No action items.
Okay, reports and presentations.
Okay, first on the list is tourism.
Hello. All right, so this is our second quarterly report from the Cascade Historical Museum. I drafted this prior to our previous quarterly meeting, so the information in it is as of the end of January. So I wanted to thank you all for your continued collaboration with us. I think that we're making a lot of progress. And at the time that I wrote this report, I was still directly managing the transition and still am involved with tourism, but I have hired an assistant down at the museum. She's local. She's great, and I'm excited to have her. She's got a lot of experience from both working in tourism and forestry and in museums. So I think it'll be a good fit. So for the second quarter, we completed those committee onboarding documents. You all got a copy of that at our joint tourism meeting. Also facilitated that meeting and strategy sessions to create the supporting documents. We did that planning session for the Joint Work Council where we went through and did a pretty exhaustive review with the committee of all of the different issues that we're facing tourism and hopes that we're facing tourism in Cascade Box. We had the joint work session with the City Council, and we've gotten the marketing strategy session is on the calendar for March 18th. So we're going to put that after we all get to go attend the Governor's Conference on Tourism and see what get up to date on the trends before we start committing to a process. I was able to recruit and interview those applicants for the Visitor Services Administrator position. We had 100% local applicants, which was by design, but it's a fun thing to be able to come in and report when you're recruiting locally, so. And then there was the standard admin with the committee communications, and working within the regional network. I have bi-weekly calls with the other regional destination marketing organizations, so I get to talk to the folks at Visit Hood River and at Experience Mount Hood in the Gorge, and Visit Troutdale every other week, and we get to work on collaborative projects. And the big announcement from that network is that the strategic investment fund is open right now for applications, and what that is a $73,000 pot of money that's available for grants for both for-profit and nonprofit organizations to apply for. And as long as it's meeting the tourism metrics for the use of the funds, then that's available for local projects. And we've reached out to a number of people in Cascade blocks that are working on interesting things to make sure that they know that that's available, and the deadline to apply for that's March 15th. We've also completed some research sessions to look at reports of AI and big data for Cascade blocks businesses. So when those are completely finished being generated, we'll be able to provide a printout to our businesses that show what cell phone data is available for visitors to their organization. So we'll know where people are coming from, how long they stay, which businesses they visit when they come. It's super creepy, but also really great for advertising. And then we've also managed to administer and maintain our current obligations. We've renewed our co-op advertising for all of the magazines that we offer that in. We've also done with the organizing and printing and distribution of the flash reports. We've worked with the chamber, been doing some social media stuff. I hope you all enjoyed the Valentines. They were pretty cute. We've been working to identify some new opportunities to support local businesses. So we're working on getting some feedback from different industry groups so that we know what's going on with how we can better support our hotel folks, and how we can better support restaurant folks, and how we can better support attractions. Because that feedback will be really important going into the marketing strategy session. For this next quarter, I hope to finalize onboarding our visitor services administrator and finalize that marketing plan, which will be awesome. And the visitor center and museum opens for the season this Friday. So I am running around like a crazy person in there, making sure everything's clean and in the right places and getting the exhibits all finished. And then I provided this little chart here so that you can understand the division of labor with the new hire. So she will be working at our front desk and doing the frontline customer service. So she'll be the first face that people see when they come in the museum to get their visitor info, or to purchase admission, or to ask where the bathroom is for the 87th time, or and then she'll be doing a lot of the admin stuff. So she's helping support me with email and keeping our calendars up to date. And once she's fully onboarded, we'll do a little bit more with the website and social media stuff. And then I will continue to work on the strategy sessions and the grants and the scholarships. I will say I also do quite a bit of frontline customer service because I cover lunch breaks every day. Anytime that the other person isn't there, I'm sitting at the front desk, so it's still, I'm in there. Does anyone have any questions or comments or?
Questions?
I just love that you are covering so many aspects of tourism, and when you talk about the grants, would you need guidance from city council on something to pursue, or can you as a committee, are you thinking about this would be what we're getting feedback on?
And that'll be something that we can undertake later. Anything that we're currently considering for grants would be a collaborative thing for the region, where we would be writing letters of support at this level. The grants that would be applicable for us don't really open up until May-ish, because a lot of them are on a fiscal year calendar.
Councilmember Farrell? Can we have a name instead of calling her she?
Amberine Albee,
Can I say it again?
Amberine Albee.
Amberlynn. All right. I just want to say thank you for all your organization, and it's very clear, really like it. And thank you for attending the Hood River County Chamber meeting that was here in town as well. So
Yeah, of
I really
course.
appreciate that. Janice had a lot of good questions. Councilman Happy?
So you said all the applicants for the visitor services administrator position were local. Can you define local? Are they all Cascade Locks?
Cascade Locks or Stevenson.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
And then I guess the last one
Oh,
was,
go ahead.
website administration. Who are you using for your website?
I administer our website.
Who's the?
We're on Squarespace. It's really easy.
Got it. Thank you.
Looks like it. All right, thank you. Okay, next up, electric department update.
Well, how is everybody?
Hi. How are you?
Not
Before
too
it
bad.
starts snowing again?
Hopefully not, but.
Hopefully
I got a few things that I've written down. One is the street lights. I think after talking with Jordan, I think you guys wanted about 25%, if I'm correct. I think we're at 30 to 35 on the low end right now. So we're making good progress on that. After budget, we'll get more and continue on with the replacement plan. Abundant Mines, which is another Bitcoin farm type thing. We were able to get them energized last Monday. So they are now up and running on our system. Windsong 2 is going to start digging electrical conduit in, I think it's gonna be next week. They're gonna start, so the placement of transformers, and we'll be able to start getting that project buttoned up a little bit on our side anyway. One of the biggest things that we were able to accomplish this fall was a lot of fire mitigation. In the Wyeth area, a lot of mowing, a lot of tree removal, a lot of stuff that helped dearly this winter so far. And I've seen how much it's helped in the spots that we've went in and cleared out. And it's been nice.
Well use of, and you had that, people on standby and
Yes, during the storm, that was,
good job.
definitely something that we needed, was something with a storm that was gonna hit that big of an area here. Otherwise, we would have never, it'd have been days before we would have got somebody out there.
Yeah,
We wouldn't have made that decision.
good job being proactive.
Does anybody have any questions?
So then, I did.
Okay, Councilmember Happy.
Thanks. Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah.
So just, I was hoping you could clarify for those that aren't aware of what you did during the last storm, to be proactive. So it sounds like you reached out and had somebody on standby for storm recovery.
Yeah, they came out here on the first Friday just before it hit, actually the night that the wind started blowing, and they stayed down here at the motel for 9 days out here. During the times that we weren't actively working on outages, I did a lot of tree trimming here in town. Some of the bad spots that needed to be cut out, we went through and cut out, and we also did the same thing in the Warrendale area.
They weren't just sitting idle.
No, we were out working until a call came in.
Mhm.
Nice. Which
Because
was,
that's kind of something that we can stop, drop, and leave, and then come back to if we need to.
so you got a bunch of stuff off the to-do list that's kind of been on there that you want to get done.
Absolutely,
So kill two birds with one stone.
correct,
Mhm.
Thank you.
absolutely.
All right. Councilmember.
How's the, we used to have a problem getting the street lights, so is our inventory, we have it right now, or was it still back ordered stuff?
No, I'm about 2 months out, but I'm kind of tapped out on this budget, so I gotta wait till next budget. I have some sitting down here for replacement purposes only, when people call in and say, hey, my light's out. we can change them out, but after the budget year, I'll be putting in another order for a couple more pallet pulls.
Okay.
And continuing the process.
I noticed there's 2 out coming down the hill from Shaw.
Those I'm still working on. The vendor that we were going through, getting those type of lights is been extremely difficult to work with. So I'm trying to go through the vendor that I'm getting the normal street lights through, have somebody come out, have one of their reps come out, show them what we're using, and try to get something similar to it. It may not be exact, but something similar that we can get readily.
It won't be the space age looking.
It's probably gonna be close to that, unless we decide to go with something else. I'll get
Yeah.
pictures, I'll give them to Jordan
Okay.
and then you guys can make the decision on what you
Okay,
wanna get.
thank you. Councilmember Happy.
Talking about the streetlights, you said 35%, so 35% of the city's streetlights have been converted to.
30 to 35%, yes, and that's on the low end. I think we're a little bit higher than that. I just haven't had time to go back out and redo a full count on it. But I think we're right about that 35% range.
Councilmember Miller?
Yeah, hi, Derek. How much wire do you keep on hand?
Well, right now, we're a little short. I have some on back order. That's one of the products that is not readily available for us at this time. I've got a roll of wire on order right now that's been 6 months ago, I think I ordered it.
So supply chains are still slow.
Yes, transformers are still about a year out at this point as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right.
This is minor, and on the street right here, Watts, second transformer, I noticed I think one of the insulator things is broken. There's on the power line itself, there's a few the ceramic insulators. I think it must have been during the storm or recently during the cold freezes, it like split in half.
I'll have to look at that tomorrow then.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the side.
Yeah,
So it doesn't.
that's one of those things where it's like, I think it's working now, but
No, and eventually it will start tracking and it'll cross over and burn something.
All right.
Couple items to add. So the 9 days we had the crew here, the cost was $166,000. I did submit that to the county, who was submitting it to the state, who was submitting it to the feds to try and get reimbursement. They're collecting all of the expenses storm related to see if it actually declares as a national or a federal emergency. So we're working on at least getting that reimbursed. The lean-to, I don't know what else to call it out here, that covers Derek's vehicles, was not built to any kind of standard or permit or anything. So we're actually taking it down this summer after the winter. And working on figuring out a temporary solution until we can get a new facility for everybody downstairs, but it's time for it to go.
I just heard it was built without permits.
No, it's, so what it is the posts that are coming up out of the ground, out of the concrete are stamped graded lumber. All the other lumber that's used on it is not stamped and graded, and they would not sign off on it.
Right.
So that was.
Didn't they recommend to tear it down or something?
Well, we could tear it down to if we wanted to
Yeah.
rebuild, we could tear it down to those posts and rebuild, but at this point, it's kind of a loss.
Okay.
Can we reuse any of the stuff?
We're gonna keep some of the bigger, header boards for either blocks or something. Sheldon wants to keep some of those as well, so we're gonna utilize some of it, what we can salvage out of it.
Yeah, we're getting a quote from Dennis Snyder to help us take it apart.
All right. Well, thank you. Perfect. Your report.
You guys have a good evening.
You too. Victor. Councilmember Miller, you might want to mute because we can hear
Gurgling.
a gurgling.
Yeah, it's not static feedback
Great.
on your end.
Thank you. All right, 7C, finance policy review. All right, Mrs. Pruitt?
You want me to do my report first? That's all right.
Oh, yes. Please do the
Do you
report.
want to do it? Go ahead.
So first I'll start off by saying sorry, I'm at the tail end of a nasty cold, so I'm kind of low energy today. So synopsis, city council reviewed the current finance policy at the October 9th, 23, January 24, and February 12th, 24. Council meeting recommendations and edits have been provided at each meeting. Attaches a newly updated red line and clean version for another review. At the previous council meeting, I was unclear on whether the updated policy was to be presented for adoption at this meeting. I'm putting the updated finance policy on this agenda for discussion only to ensure how the policy is ready to go before it is brought to a vote again. The attorney has reviewed it. He had minimal recommendations. He stated that the verbiage regarding boards and task forces should stay in. It gives flexibility for the future if one needs to be created. He also stated the language regarding local priorities should be removed as it hinders competitive bid process. So a review of the changes. Again, removing any verbiage of finance officer to finance department. Increasing staff expenditure limits from 1,000 to 10,000 for department heads, from 2,500 to 25,000 for city administrator. Council approves all purchases over 25,000 outside an approved contract. City administrator is authorized to approve expenses over 25,000 in an emergency. All expenses should be over, not of 10,000 must be reported to council at the next council meeting. The next line was a duplicate from before. Purchase orders are required for all capital outlay, asset, and improvement purchases and non-routine purchases outside an approved contract regardless of price. 3 written bids will only be required for purchases above 25,000. Update phone bids. Phone bids requirement for expenses between $5,000 and $25,000. Increased requirement for written bids from 2,000 to 25,000. City administrator may request written bids under 25,000. MCED, increased requirement from 10 to 100,000, and the city administrator may hire MCED for grants under 100,000 if they feel is necessary. The reason I held off on this is Councilor Miller brought up, it sounded like he wanted audits updated before this policy was updated, and I was not clear on how the rest of council wanted to move forward.
Now, Mrs. Pruitt.
Appreciate that the council is taking consideration of comments made. But again, there's nothing stating that this covers only budgeted items in the document. And I'm curious if the council is saying that if it's not a budgeted item, then it's an emergency item. And if that's the case, then there's carte blanche for spending without any council oversight whatsoever. And $25,000, I still feel is a big amount. Seems like a really high amount for our small town, and having been on the budget for many years, we have very narrow, margins, and $25,000 is a lot to overcome if it's a mistake and you didn't oversee it, and you are our representatives to how our money is spent. I also agree with what Councilmember Miller stated with the requiring the audit to be done before. I mean, we're 2 years behind on our audits, and in essence, we really don't know what our finances look like because we're basing our spending on a checkbook that's not been rectified yet. So we're just spending money, hoping that our checkbook, what we have written in our checkbook, matches what the bank statement says that comes in the mail, and sometimes they don't always mesh up. And also, the last question I have is, City Administrator Bennett has stated that he's not done purchase orders since he's been here, and I'm curious as to how the council is going to make sure that the purchase orders are going to be implemented. Are you gonna do like a quarterly report, something where you get some feedback so that you know that the purchase orders are being done? Because up until this point, they haven't been done, and he stated that at the last council meeting. Thank you.
All right, discussion?
I just want to get clarification on reconciliations versus the audit, because my understanding reconciliations are current, we're just behind on the audit, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Farrell?
With the attorney, was the reason that he stated, to remove the part about local was because my first guess would be a non-local business reads that we may give local preference, then they won't bother to submit a bid. Is that what he's
Pretty
thinking?
much, yeah.
Okay, so then my next question would be, would we be setting ourselves up to get in trouble at a later time if we then choose to go with the local and it's not stated in here that that's kind of what we want to do, if possible? So if you have bids and maybe it's a really close, resume and background of the companies and what they're presenting, but we decide to make the last, pick because they're local. But maybe the other company might be a little bit better in some other ways, and I don't want to get us in trouble showing favoritism. With it taken out, it doesn't say doesn't kind of give us the okay. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, just to make sure if we pick a local company, that the justification is correct.
Yeah,
And I would, again, it depends on the scenario, I would think if by selecting it, if they're close enough bids, selecting a local one would have economic benefit to the community. I think that would be our
so we can
justification.
justify.
Yeah. But again, it depends on the scenario and how close they really are to each other.
We just make sure that we don't pick the one that's significantly worse just because they're local.
Correct.
But if they're close, then
Comparable.
yeah, if they're comparable or like plus minuses kind of balance each other out.
Okay. Councilmember Baker?
I just remembered that you said you checked in with some other cities that have these limits, 25,000. Did you have checked with some that are about our size?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and 25,000 is on the low end. Yeah, most cities are more like 100,000. And I have a spreadsheet, I was gonna bring it, I forgot.
Councilmember Happy?
So how do we know if purchase orders are being used? Is there a way that we can,
We can track them, yeah.
has there been a change since the last council meeting about, like, have there been any certain things when a purchase order should have been used and was it used in the last 2 weeks?
Any changes?
Yes, because I guess when we had this discussion last time, there was that many circumstances, it seemed like a purchase order would be
Yeah.
necessary to be used.
Correct.
My question was, have there been any purchases that were made since the last council meeting where a purchase order was required and wasn't used?
That should have been used?
Right. Was there a situation where purchase was required, the need for a purchase order, and did we follow that process?
Yes, actually, I think there was one, but I can't remember what it was now.
And we did it.
I believe so. Hey, sorry, I'm still recovering from my cold and a little foggy.
The
today, so I
departments have
apologize.
been told that they need
Yes,
to do it.
yes. Yeah, I reminded all departments that we need to do purchase orders, yes.
I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody on council, and I think it'd be good to get other people's opinion on this, but I think especially since it's we're trying to establish a new trend. I think having our finger on the pulse of that I would like to just hear about that, especially since there's concerns from the community about transparency and purchasing and these limits. I think it would help to alleviate any concern around that, and I think I would definitely like to hear how we're progressing with kind of implementing the use of purchase orders since it's a change from what we've been doing previously.
Yeah.
Can we get, is that consensus of the council that we'd like to hear that?
Like a monthly report or something, is that what you're thinking?
What do you think? Is that something we can roll out without an unduly burdening you?
Whenever a purchase order is been issued.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of like to know, like, what are the circumstances where one would be required and, exactly.
Okay, yeah, we can do that, yeah.
Alright. Any other questions, comments?
Guess I'm curious, what do we do to implement the policy? I think we need to have a policy that we can actually follow. And that's the problem with the policy we have right now is it's not something we're following. What are the next steps?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite following it.
So you presented a red line version. Do we have feedback from council that this is okay to bring to a vote? Because I know that there's concerns from one council member, they want to wait till the audit. But
Oh, yeah.
not necessarily reflects the opinion of everybody on council.
Yes, I wasn't sure if we we're talking about POs or the policy itself.
Sorry, I was ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's up to council what you guys want to do. If you want to vote on this policy to enact it. Or we can stay with the policy we have now.
We're not voting tonight.
I understand.
Yeah, but I can present it as an action item next.
I just wanted to see if we needed to give you more clarity, because it seemed like you were unclear about council direction at the last council meeting. So I want to make sure that we
Yes.
clear that up this council meeting with what do we want to do next?
Yeah, so unless there's any more verbiage changes, yeah, I guess if council is ready to actually vote on this, then I can put it as an action item at the next meeting.
Where are we at in our audits? I know we're in the middle, at least one of them.
Correct, so we're doing the 21-22 audit. There are issues with the trial balances, getting them to match. That sounds like it's rectified. We should have everything, all the documentation the auditors requested within 2 weeks. So they'll start their audit process and it usually takes, from there, probably takes about 2 months, give or take, or so I'm told. So we should have the 21-22 audit done by the end of this fiscal year.
And then you roll straight into the next one.
Carl's gonna help me make sure this budget cycle goes smoothly. And then once the budget is finalized, then we'll roll back into audits.
What's the timeline on that? Do we have the budget done in July?
End of June. Yeah.
So we're hoping July, we can maybe start moving forward with the 22-23 audit.
Yeah, so as soon as, yeah. The budget is essentially set, he's gonna roll back into audits for 22, 23, and then 23, 24.
I don't know about everybody else, but I personally feel like I don't really want to wait till July to implement the new policy. I think that, I'd like to move forward with voting on our new policy at the next council meeting is my recommendation.
I agree with that.
I agree, because I really want us to do what we say we're doing and let you do what you need to do. I don't like hearing that things come up and that you have to go beyond what's already written, so I'm vote for moving forward too.
And I definitely think that things are moving in the right direction. We've done a lot as far as getting the reconciliations current. We're getting a lot closer to getting the audit current. We're gonna be on track to get the 22-23 audit done. We're getting things in place so we can have the budget done on time. I feel like things are moving in the right direction, but arming you with a policy that we can actually execute and use, I think is really important for us to help you with that.
Yeah, perfect.
So consensus of council then? I will wait. I'm scared. I see the 25,000 number. I'm like, what if it's not there? What if we really shouldn't be doing this right now? I'm one of those people that get scared that way.
Would you wait 6+ months? Because that's when all the audits are gonna be done.
I would probably be fine as long as we're caught up to the most current audit. So that would be like the June, I think is what you said.
No, that would be 2 months after June, because everyone started the 2020.
Yeah, so right now, we're currently working on the 21-22 audit. And then we'd have to do the 22-23 audit.
Councilmember Happy.
Can you explain the difference between the audit and reconciliations and how that might, affect our bank balances? How much money we got?
I'm not a finance expert, so I'll preface that. And so we are reviewing the monthly transactions and the bank statements, making sure those match. So the monthly reconciliations of the statements, and then the audits, the overall annual review by an outside firm.
Got it. So if I understand you correctly, when we reconcile, we're making sure that the bank statement matches what we have in our register.
Correct.
Right, in the,
Yes.
in the accounting register.
Yes,
The audit is a third-party verification that those records are accurate.
correct.
So to, I guess, address your concern is, so long as everybody on staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing, we should know what's in our bank account.
So we're caught up on the.
Reconciliations.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
that makes better sense, thank you.
And that's why I guess I have more confidence in feeling okay with moving forward, like, we know what's in our bank accounts, because our reconciliations are finally caught.
Does that make sense? Okay. All right.
And I know Butch had some concerns about, I wonder if he has any input on this.
Councilman Miller, would you like to comment?
My objection to it still stands. Without that audit, I don't think we should be moving forward on changing this.
Councilmember Happy?
If our reconciliations are current, what is your, I guess, hesitation, Mr. Miller, with approving the change in the financial policy? If we know what's in our bank accounts, but we just haven't had the third party to verify that.
I don't think that reconciliations are that great of a measuring stick. I like to see that complete audit to make sure everything's there.
It's possible too that we could go find when the auditors do their thing. Do something the way we were supposed to, we could be fine too, so that would come out of our bank account.
I think everyone's pretty conscious of trying to not spend many of the finance policies. Not saying it's not giving a green light for just write everything. So everyone's still conscious of what things cost. So.
I think there's good evidence of that with Mr. Turkington's comments this evening about the
Right.
flights, right? He's watching his budget, he knows how much he has available
Right.
to spend, and he's trying to stay within that budget, maximize his limited dollars to make them go as far as possible, so like we do with our home budgets, right? We talk about how much we trust and support our staff.
Right.
I feel like this is where it really comes down to us actually standing behind those words by showing them that we trust them. I think there's a reason why we have it on it, but I don't think we should hold off on, moving
Creating a
forward.
policy.
Yeah, updating a
Right.
policy that's way out of date.
Right. Councilmember Baker?
I also like that we did add all expenses over $10,000 must be reported to council at the next council meeting. So that's almost like another limit.
Just
Yeah,
reading it.
it's,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a verbal as well as in the written documents.
Yeah, not to mention the check register. I mean,
Right.
you guys see every expense.
So this is just about updating a policy. Okay. So would it be consensus of council to get it as an action item next meeting? Okay. Next one, employee handbook review.
At the August 14th, 2023 council meeting, council approved a 6-month trial of a 4-day work week for city hall operations. If the trial is to become permanent, the employee handbook will need to be updated to reflect the new operations. A review of the handbook was completed by CIS, County and City Insurance Services, our insurance company. There have been major changes in state and federal employment law since the handbook was last amended in January of 2020. CIS provided an updated language for EEO, paid leave, and other labor laws. In addition, the handbook is not clear in several areas and did not flow in a coherent manner according to current city staff, and I agree with their assessment. I reviewed our city's handbook and reformatted our book. Attached is the current handbook and the draft and review. Because the extensive updates, a redline version of the handbook was not feasible. This is a draft for preliminary council review. The final version will be hopefully presented at the March 11th, 2024 council meeting. City Attorney Cleveland has finished his review and did not find any issues with the handbook. Major changes are the hours of operation, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to Monday through Thursday from 8 to 6. I always thought R was shorthand for Thursday, but maybe I'm wrong.
I asked about that.
I have it marked down.
That was.
I don't know where I got that, but I've always used it for, because T is Tuesday,
Monday to
R is
Wednesday.
Thursday.
I did.
THUR.
Removal of section A. Section A in the current handbook talks about the city government processes, the budgeting, the history of the city council appointments. It's a lot of stuff, or all of it is stuff that really has nothing to do with a employee's work with the city. It's not needed in the handbook. I didn't see anything similar in anybody else's handbook. I reorganized and reformatted, as I stated before. The order of the sections did not flow, and many seemed to be in long sections. I looked at other cities. I pulled a lot from Troutdale's. I really like Troutdale's handbook. I pulled a lot from them. The current handbook goes into excessive detail about insurance plans, drug testing policy, excessive listing of examples, which is not necessary and may cause more issues per CIS, as plans may change and fail to match the handbook. I added a donating of sick and vacation, comp leave, and personal holidays. The city currently does not have a policy allowing employees to donate time to employees in need. Change in holidays, because the city will be closed, assuming it's approved. On Fridays, I propose trading the day after Thanksgiving for Juneteenth. So we will keep the same number of holidays. The city currently does not observe Juneteenth. Just about every city and county and the state around us observes Juneteenth, which is June 19th, for everybody who didn't know. And then the addition of AI language, CIS recommended adding language on AI usage, as it's only a matter of time before the city uses it. It may be a little bit longer of time before we do, but I think the city will eventually start using it, whether we like it or not. AI is gonna take over our lives, so, yeah.
Not to interrupt, but I don't have what you're reading.
It's the blue, it's got the.
Oh,
It's like the backside of your.
Oh, did it not?
7D. I don't have it. That's what I was looking for.
oh,
Which would have saved me some trouble, because I was going through like, what, you didn't say nothing about this.
oh, yeah, sorry, so it's got the last three bits about donating of sick time, the holidays, and then language on AI, so. Can you make, Meryl, can you make copies of that? Or if you have,
Thank you.
okay. Yes,
First, that's a huge project to undertake.
it was, my brain hurt, yeah, it was not fun.
I was gonna say, as I've done this myself several times, one of the recommendations, you've already done so much, but instead of using page numbers, using sections. So that way the section numbers don't change, so like section 3.2, 3.3, 3.4,
Oh, I
as opposed to page numbers, the
Gotcha.
pagination can change, which
That's a
table
good
of
idea.
contents can be such a pain to keep up to date.
Yes, yeah,
So that was just to make your job a little easier,
Yeah.
use the section numbers instead of page numbers.
I went through and marked all mine, because I already was getting mixed up out of order, and I'm like, okay, that's it, we're going to put numbers on them.
I did that.
Yeah.
Councilmember Baker.
So that is a suggestion I had, and I did go through with a fine tooth comb, the new one, so, somehow to enumerate, at first I said page numbers, but if you enumerate it 3A, so we can easily find things. Number one, number two, the pronouns used for the employee are variable throughout, quite often it's second person point of view with you, I'm fine with that. But when it's third person point of view, there are various pronouns that aren't necessarily gender neutral. So we use they, there a lot, but wherever there is he, she, I hope you'll change it to they, because they, there is used about 5 times in there anyway. And his, her to be there. Since we have added gender identity language, that we will not discriminate according to gender identity, his, her, and he, she would be discriminatory. And we use they, them, there a lot. So do you need me to tell you each time, or can you do a search?
I can just do a search.
Okay, and then also Cascade Locks is not capitalized throughout,
Oh, it's not? Oh, weird, okay.
and then, I suppose it's legal language, but Under L, outside employment, it seemed an odd thing to me. That employees are required to obtain advanced written approval from the city administrator for outside employment. Seems like a violation of freedoms, but is that common?
It is, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, just to make sure it doesn't interfere with work here.
okay, and I'm gonna help you think of this. There is one spot where, if I can find it again. Make sure that if you are changing it to there, under prescription drugs and marijuana, her substance abuse is used, and then there, I don't think it was that spot. To make sure that, oh, here it is, under treatment assistance, instead of he, she has, it would be they have.
Yep.
So make sure you're changing the verb as well. And that is all I see. So thank you for doing all this work. I appreciate that it's updated and very equitable, and some nice policies in there about pulling sick time off and things.
Things have changed even since 2020.
Oh,
immensely.
yes.
Yeah. Any other?
I have a couple things too.
Yep.
Under the paydays and paychecks, it says, ending at midnight every other Friday, paychecks are issued every other Friday. Most likely you guys are doing automatic deposit, but I'm wondering if that should be changed because Friday's not a good day. If someone had to actually pick up their paycheck, then they'd have to wait until Monday.
No, we probably have it ready Friday afternoon.
But who's?
Or not, sorry, Thursday afternoon, sorry, Thursday.
You do have a cold.
You
don't
do have.
I do, yes, I do. Yeah,
It's
this weekend
okay.
was not fun.
Okay, okay, so you're just gonna be doing that, okay, Also, I know we did not vote Juneteenth in. I was wondering if you could ask your staff if they'd rather have it as another floating holiday instead of making it Juneteenth, if you could do that.
Yeah. I'm completely open on that one. I just was doing a trade.
If I was working, I would. Let's see. And then, I know the meal period legally has to be at least 30 minutes, and I was just wondering if you could explain if you do the math with the hours that we're doing, it's exactly 10 hours, so it looks like we're paying you guys, well, your salary, but paying for people's lunches. It's 10 hours, right? That City Hall's open?
Yeah, yes, so City Hall's open 10 hours, but we start work at 7:30.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted
Yes.
to know. Okay, great. And then the last thing I saw was the compensation in the event of an emergency closure. Is that a state thing, so that if the building, if your boss tells you that the company's not open, that people get paid for that?
Yep, that's what we did for this ice storm.
Obviously,
We
I know
told
it
them-
wasn't in the old handbook, so that's why I was wondering if that was a legality thing that got.
It was in there in the current one, but it wasn't really worded very well.
Okay,
But that's what we did for this ice storm is staff didn't come in, they still got paid. If for some reason we were still open, but 84 was closed, then that would be on them not being able to make it in.
okay, got it.
Or if they felt maybe it wasn't safe for them to come in, but we were still open, they would have to use vacation or sick time.
Yeah, that's
But-
what I
but
had to
we-
do. Yeah.
The city was not operating. It wasn't their choice to not work,
Okay,
so.
that was all I saw.
I did have one question for council about the holidays for the paramedics. So the way it has been in the past is they have not been able to use them until after the holiday occurred. So a lot of times they would save the holidays up for the end of the year, which then John is scrambling to find people to cover Thanksgiving, Christmas, or they just don't use them and then lose their holidays. So we were thinking of ways to treat them fairly, but then they're also not in a CBA, so they shouldn't really be treated differently. The thought we had was allow them to use 48 hours of vacation anytime between January and June. and then use the other 48 between July and December. If they didn't use that 48 in the first half of the year, they could use it in the second half of the year. But then there's concerns, if they know they're leaving at some point, they could use it. And then we pay them for it, they still have their vacation, they could get paid out. So I wanted to ask council what your view was on holiday pay with paramedics.
Curious with other districts, how they, did John,
Most of them
did John
are,
mention like Halford River or?
that's how some of them do is holiday banks where they can use it as is, they don't transfer over. It's not like vacation or sick, but they have to use it within that year. But we're really the only people who have a fire department that's not in a CBA,
What's CBA?
collective bargaining agreement, or they're not a union. Yeah. So it's that fine balance of, we appreciate all they do and wanna, but they're still, we can't treat them differently from every other employee. I mean, yes, their schedule's wonky, but
And is that John's suggestion?
that was John's suggestion, yes. I asked Ruben about, if that scenario happens where if we paid them for, so 48 hours is one shift for them. So they would take a holiday for one shift. They do 48-hour shifts. Say they take it in March and they use their first half chunk and then they quit in April. I mean, technically Memorial Day hasn't happened yet and they haven't earned the 8 hours yet. Do we go back and try and get that 8 hours back from them? Ruben said it's not worth it. I mean, we could, but it's really not worth it.
I think it's probably not that big of a deal.
I mean, so I wanted to get council's thought on
The likelihood of that happening is not
it.
great.
Is slim to none, so yeah.
And
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, we appreciate them so much. I think listening to John's recommendation, I think makes a ton of sense. And then the off chance something happens, it's 8 hours of labor, it's, somebody, it's a huge.
And again, we know our EMS rates are significantly lower.
Yeah.
If you've ever talked to any of the folks there, and they're sometimes getting offers like, come here, and we're like, no, please don't go.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I would like to follow his, Chief Logan's, but if that's what he's recommending.
yeah, that's what we talked about. That is kind of the compromise we came up with, was the 48 to 48.
Kind of limits some exposure by just saying it's only for 48 at a time.
Yeah,
And it helps to alleviate the problem he was running into with the coverage in Thanksgiving and Christmas.
correct. And it's pretty even. I think if out of the 10 holidays, I think it's 5 and 5 in each 6-month cycle, if I remember right. So it's even split.
So where do they go? So it's, I'm not sure, I don't understand how 48 hours is calculated then, if it's 5 holidays. How does it, where's the 48 hours come from?
Well, so that's what John wanted to do, because 48 hours is one entire shift for them. Essentially, so they'd have 96 total hours for each shift. That's the number he wanted to use.
But I guess, so how many paid holidays do they get for paramedics?
So staff gets 12 paid holidays, I believe.
And paid holidays would be if someone were to, 8 hours of holiday pay, or I guess 10
After
hours?
10, it would be 10 with the new hours. What I told John, it would be actually 120. He wanted to stick at 96.
Got it.
Questions?
So I can add that verbiage in. It's currently not in there. But I wanted to talk to council about it, so.
So there'd be specific language for paramedics?
Yes.
You'd have to add in.
Yeah, under that vacation section, there'd be a little at the bottom laying that out.
This is only for recouping those normal paid holidays that they're missing out on because they can't take them
Correct, yes,
when the day
Right.
happens,
correct.
not counting their actual holiday, like, not like their vacation time, is something exclusive.
That's completely separate.
They're not gonna be, you have to use half their vacation time the first half of the year, or
Right.
nothing like that.
And this only applies to people that are not able to observe the holiday because of their schedule and they have to be on shift, or is this flexible for all paramedics that they can?
All 3 paramedics.
What if they wanna do their holidays instead.
Well, it wouldn't matter, because technically, they're not on, like, they're not working those days, because that's like their weekend. Kind of, but it's in a weird way, technically. The way that they work is not like a normal person's 9 to 5,
Right.
because they have to work nights and.
Yeah,
They're working 2 days straight, and then they take 3 days off.
Yeah,
So they'll never be able to take a holiday.
no,
On
it's
the-
48 on, 96 off.
Okay,
Depends
2
on
days
how it
before,
lands.
yeah.
so 2 days on, 4 days off.
Yeah.
And then, because they worked 4 days, or 2 days in a row. They can't work for. There's laws on that too.
I imagine somebody is going to get the holiday off, at least one person, and the John, and they would work it out, like this year, can I have Christmas off?
And that's for cheap living.
Right, that's where somebody gets it off.
Yeah, he would do whatever scheduling he does, so yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
It's just, they felt they had to, for it to make it worth their while, they had to bank all of their holiday hours till the end of the year to actually cover a full shift of 48 hours.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And so they would all take it in November and December. And then John would be scrambling to either he would have to be the one covering, or we have Jennifer, who's our backup paramedic, she would have to cover. So,
And he would approve the holiday. week.
yes, he would forget.
So that problem would be avoided.
Spreads it out a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All righty. Councilmember Baker, don't step on your phone down there.
Thank you.
It's like you're one shoe away from it.
Oh, I have one more question.
Okay. Councilmember Farrell?
So this is gonna be an action item on the next city council,
I'm hoping to, I need to clean it up a little bit more. I'm hoping for it to be an action item.
and it's based also on the input that you're getting from the residents.
Yes,
Yay or nay,
yes.
and how is that input being tallied up?
I did a survey monkey online. It should have been posted on Facebook as well as in the newsletter. We've gotten, I don't know, I looked last week, we had a dozen or so like handwritten responses, so we've gotten a decent amount. And so far, it's looking positive.
And those will be presented to us.
Yeah, I was gonna present the total, yeah. I mean, unless you guys want the actual,
No, I just wanna know it.
yes, yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, electrical system project and IGA update.
All right, the scope of work change request was submitted to the EDA at the end of January. The investment review committee met on February 7th to review. The IRC approved our scope of work change. BKI is moving to phase 2 of the design work. To remind everybody, that was removing any work we were gonna do in the business park. So we'll no longer be actually putting any power lines underground in the park. Everything will lead up to the park. And this will be the installation of a 20 megawatt transformer replacing the old 6 megawatt one we're currently purchasing from BPA. Because the 20 megawatt transformer we are buying is outside of the construction contract, and it's over $250,000, we have to do an RFP per EDA's rules. Working with BKI and McKed on developing that RFQ/P, which will present it to council hopefully when it's ready. I'm hoping end of March, but I'm waiting on them. The purchase of the BPA substation is still moving forward. BPA has sent over the sales and maintenance and operations contracts for review. City staff and the attorney are currently reviewing the contracts and environmental reports from BPA, but everything's slowly moving forward. At this point, I mean, I want to get this finalized, but we're probably still at least a year out from construction actually starting on this project. So the less amount of time we actually own the substation, the better, less risk for us, because it is old and it could fail, so. I have talked with city staff and BKI, if we do come in possession of it, we may just de-energize it. To minimize any risk. It is leaking nitrogen, some kind of gas it uses to help cool it. I don't remember what kind it is, but it is leaking substantially. There's a pallet of gas tanks out there that they're cycling through. So they won't tell us how much they're actually going through. I know, well. And we've had rounds about this, they've given us environmental reports, pretty much saying, we can guarantee that in 20 years, this is not gonna be a Superfund site with chemicals in the ground because of us, but the transformer itself is sold as is. Okay, I mean, there's really nothing we can do about it. Really what we're buying is the land, so we can build the substation we want. So we're looking at possibly de-energizing it, so just to mitigate our risks.
Has there been a recent environmental?
No.
So no,
No, but it's also been there for 70 years, so.
Right.
And if they're using nitrogen gas, nitrogen makes up 70-something% of atmosphere already, so it's not like it's polluting.
I think it's nitrogen. I'll have to double
If it's
check.
nitrogen, then it doesn't,
Yeah,
it's just costly.
yeah, we're just worried about what the expense would be, so. And then, update on the, IGA with the port. After the last council meeting, I forwarded over to the port for review. They came back with a decent amount of changes. Both myself and City Attorney Cleveland have reviewed it, and we didn't see any reasons against the changes. As you can see, they completely scratched out the mutual responsibilities and shifted those around. Mine did not print out very well. Hopefully your guys' is printed out any better. I just realized that.
online, it's not even clear.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Mine's blank.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Oh, geez. All right.
Mine turns out a little bit better than mine.
Okay.
It's online, it's.
No, I can print out cleaner versions here really quick if council would like to look at them. Like I said, myself and the city attorney didn't have any issues with it. Nothing major changed. They just essentially changed the formatting.
I think it would be helpful to read it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then.
I'll make sure, it's easier to read version. I have the Word version. I'll email it to everybody to look at.
That would be helpful.
And put it online.
Yes, I can do that. Yeah.
Did you provide us with just an all black copy as well of the same thing?
The clean version, yes.
Right.
Yeah, so this is,
Clean.
Have
This
it,
is the
yeah.
clean.
yeah, so this is the clean version and this is the red line, so you can see what they changed. So,
Right.
blue. The blue line, yeah. blue line.
Missing blue.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can get this sent out. I guess I could wait for an email. Does council want this as an action item at the next council meeting?
Would it be consensus of council to have it as an action item?
I think it's important because the ports, we need to.
Okay. And then you'll email out the
Yep, I'll get you.
missing one and, okay, great. Alright. Any other comments? Jordan?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, Mrs. Pruitt,
So the only thing I wanted to be.
do you wanna come on up? Hang on.
Cautionary tale is that, having done the budget for many years, we had lots of line items in there saying the port. We're supposed to give the city money for projects and they never were paid, so I don't know how it can be enforceable or, I don't know, but it's just a cautionary tale. We've done this several times before in the past with the port and they've not followed through on their responsibility.
Thank you. Alright. Any discussion, comments? It's good to move forward on that. Alright. City Administrator Bennett report.
Okay. Oh, so first up is an update from Tess Melio, our lobbyist, regarding our efforts at the 2024 Oregon legislative session. I will go ahead and read it really quick. Legislative session, excuse me, is speeding ahead with only 2 weeks left for all the work to be completed. After passing by several bill deadlines marked in red on this calendar, you all should have gotten a PDF with links in it. The scope of bills still up for consideration has narrowed significantly and was made even smaller by the end of last week. By last Friday, bills and policy committees had to be in the second chamber and scheduled for a vote to stay viable for further consideration. This deadline does not apply to the Ways and Means Committees, Rules and Joints Committees, which is where we are seeking amendment. As previously reported, City Administrator Jordan Bennett and I met with key legislators to share the city's request for the state to cover the cost of moving the power lines impacted by the McCord Creek Bridge Replacement Project along I-84. This includes talking with 2 legislators for the area, the Ways and Means co-chairs, offices, and ODOT. On Friday, February 16th, the Joint Ways and Means Capital Construction Subcommittee met to hear from public requests for state funding. City Administrator Bennett was given 2 minutes to testify before the committee to express the situation and need for state support. We also submitted a letter for the record on OLIS. The hearing went as well as we could have expected. Since the last update, we have learned that the Port of Cascade Locks has agreed to submit a letter of support for the city's $1 million request. The city has also provided a letter of support for the Bridge of the Gods project. We've been told the project is on the list for consideration. We continue to be hopeful that the city's request for this session will be successful and have not heard anything to suggest otherwise. A myriad of things could still happen to impact the outcome of the ask, but for now, we continue to be on a good path towards the desired outcome. With session ending March 10th, I anticipate we will find out whether the city's ask will make it into the Christmas tree bill, with many other Ways and Means asked probably by the end of this week prior to the Joint Ways and Means Capital Construction Subcommittee meeting on Friday afternoon or early next week at the latest. As soon as I learn anything, I will let Jordan know. So everything so far is looking positive.
Jordan, do they ever, do they just, give it to you or deny it, or do they ever give you some of the money that you're asking for?
I don't know. I've talked to Tess about it. If we even want to mention that we're willing to take anything, but okay. Determined it was better to just stick with the full ask.
Okay.
Whether they on their own whim decide, only giving partial request, I don't know, but I can ask.
I think we don't want to say we'll take 50%.
No, I was just wondering if they ever
Yeah.
just said, oh, we feel bad for you, so.
Yeah. I'm sure they do it on some projects. I don't know about something on this size. I did sit in on that subcommittee meeting February, whatever it was, 16th, for like 2 hours. It was a very long, almost 3. And it was just, everybody had 2 minutes. It was organization after organization, and it was just a wide range of requests from our stuff to projects for sewer lines to funding youth shelters and everything in between. So there's a long list they have to go through.
And did we get a letter of support from Bonham and Helfrich?
I don't know about a letter, but then.
Or are they still?
Yeah, they're in support.
They're helping keep
Yes.
the ball rolling?
Yes,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
They still have their foot in the water.
they do, yes.
Good.
What's that? Oregon legislative. Something, I can't remember the IS off the top of my head. I'm trying to think, but I cannot remember.
I'll Google it.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think when things are going in public record, if we have acronyms, they should be spelled out.
Yeah,
We should, yeah.
understood, yeah.
Oregon Legislative Information System.
That, okay, thank you. I knew it was something like that.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, website update. It's been a topic for the last couple of weeks, so I figured I'd update on it. Council had previously discussed, website updates. I have obtained a quote from our current provider, for a higher tier service and design. The proposed fee is $4,000 per year. Council member had received a quote from another vendor, MuniBit, for $109 a month. I have scheduled a demo for February 27th. I want our website to be a topic of discussion for the goal setting work session to determine how council wants to proceed. So it is in the works. I don't plan to make any changes until after the budget. And I'm getting a demo from them to see what their services are like, but it sounds like it's definitely at the top of the list for council, so.
My question, when I see this vast difference between $109 a month and $4,000 a year, $1,200 roughly a year versus 4,000, it's a third. Makes me wonder if that MuniBit really understands the scope of what we're currently receiving. So I'm interested to hear what you find from this demo.
I went to MuniBit's website and I looked at some of their clients, and I can't say I was really impressed with the websites. But, I'm open to seeing what's out there.
And I imagine when we are looking at doing this, we'll put it out for RFP and get maybe some other vendors.
Correct, yeah. If council doesn't want to keep what we currently have, then yeah, definitely put the RFP.
But how is what we're paying for now different from what tourism is doing with Squarespace? And how much do you
The
think?
museum's website is through Squarespace, tourism's website is a WordPress.org site.
And who manages that?
Oh, I do.
So you do them both?
Mhm.
And can you, how much do we pay, how much are you paying for Squarespace and WordPress?
Well, what you're getting in a service contract with design and implementation and ongoing maintenance would not,
It's not
really match with what we're doing because
Because you're doing
I'm
it
not
all.
counting like the hours that I spend on that because it's just part of my job. But as far as the annual fees go, they're relatively minimal, just to work within the platforms and the domains. Squarespace is probably around $350 a year, and WordPress with the add-ons that they use is pretty comparable.
And I don't know what exactly they're gonna be doing as far as, we already have a design, we already have the content, we already have the images. We're just migrating to a new platform, something that's a little bit more responsive with web forms and kind of modernized.
Yeah.
I use Squarespace. It's so slick and easy to update. I love it because I don't have to go to a vendor to try to get them to update things when I find mistakes and errors. So I just wonder, could we do this in-house?
So we can update our website. It's just the functionality. I mean,
What do you mean?
The options.
the options. So we have the basic package that's really designed for a very static website that just does not change. Like for the ice storm, when we updated the city hall was closed. We don't have the option to put that banner across the top of the website. We didn't pay for it, so we can't do it. So I had to fit it into a square on the side of the webpage, which is not very visible.
And a lot harder, honestly, than trying to do that on Squarespace. I mean, literally, it's like super easy on Squarespace. So I just like, if you're doing these things already, I mean, I just feel like we could maybe do this in-house and have a much better product, without having to hire, I don't know what they're paying, we're paying $4,000 a month for, I just don't see it. $4,000 a year, sorry, I should clarify. Even $4,000 a year is still.
Proposed.
What, I don't know, what are we paying now?
2,300.
2,300, so $200 a month versus $350 a year. And I don't really know what they're doing, what are they providing for us? What are they doing for us?
Essentially, it's the template and the functionality within that template.
Right, and that,
their customer support and all that stuff, but.
but Squarespace does all of that, if you're doing all they're giving you is a template and some support, you get that through Squarespace for $350 a year. I know we have record keeping requirements, and so I don't know what all data we have and where that's stored and hosted. But I'm sure there's probably a way to actually tie that to a Squarespace site and have that data still hosted, I imagine it's on our servers.
Our website is through GoDaddy.
No, I'm talking about all of the data and the records and like all of our council packets and all of the historical data that we have to have for record keeping purposes. Where is that stored? We access through the website.
Oh, that's through GovOffice, right?
So I mean, I'd be curious to see if Dev Office connects to Squarespace site, you know, is it? So it's, and it's really literally so easy to copy an existing page and update the content.
Oh, yeah,
You know, so it's, and yeah, I love it, it's great, and then I just want to, you know, if you're already doing all the work as far as updating the website, you're really limited because of the template, it sounds like.
Correct, yeah.
So I mean, my pushback on that is I don't think $4,000 a year.
Councilmember Baker?
And I'm sure that you look into this, but I imagine a city has to have some sorts of securities built in. And I'm not sure that all the website servicers are as secure as a city might need them to be. So that as well, obviously, a general consideration.
Councilmember Crompton?
When we do put this into consideration, we need to also look into mobile friendly
Yes.
options, because I don't know about a lot of people, but I know a lot of people my age have computers, but we're not looking things up on the computer as much as just pulling it up on your phone real quick and checking, because right now, our city website is not great for a phone.
No.
It's like a
No.
weird format where it's too big.
Yes.
So you have to scroll,
Yeah,
through,
there
like,
you go.
there's not really a,
Yeah,
it's not ideal. And more people are using tablets and phones instead of desktops to look up information.
Yep.
There's also ADA access requirements for websites.
Correct, which our website currently does not have.
That's right. I would be curious too to find out maybe who other cities are using for web hosting and what
Yeah,
it's up.
it's all over the place. There's dozens of companies out there. Yeah, I mean, I can reach out to however many companies council wants. If we put out an RFP, I'm not even sure how I'd get it out there, I guess. Other than sending it to companies asking for a quote.
Literally, I could build you a new website using our existing website in a night, like 8 hours. You could have a brand new website. Yeah, like it's not rocket science. The
Oh, no.
copies, you know, needs to be updated a little bit, but really it's the template and getting that responsive design. But you know, having a PDF that's on our website that people have to print out to fill out is just like, you know, this should be a fillable, you know, not even a fillable PDF, but actually just a web form where it actually
Yes.
gets pushed to a Google sheet, you know,
Yeah.
something where it's a little bit more actionable.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
so are you signing up to?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, how much you want?
It's recorded. It's recorded.
I've thought about that.
The point that we might be able to get, I mean, my son used to do this stuff, and they would hire him to do the websites, and.
There might be a local vendor that would
Yeah,
be willing to take
exactly.
on this project and migrate it over to a Squarespace site and then teach you how to maintain it, update it.
So that's a good point.
As long as it meets city security protocol, is my,
What's the, I guess, the concern on that somebody could access the site and then have.
yes, we can have what do you call it, a pirate come in and put things out, but we never, I don't know how some of these organizations, how secure they are, if they're recommended for cities or not.
Well, just like when you log into your email, you can have, you know, two-party authentication where it's not just like what, you know, the password you put in, but you know, it's very secure. Businesses don't want people to be hacking into their sites either.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's something we need to research and verify.
Okay.
Upcoming events, I will be in Salem for the CIS conference this Thursday and Friday. I forgot to add it on here, but a note, we have our goal setting session on Sunday, March 10th. And because we have that on March 10th, I'm gonna propose not having a work session at the beginning of the March 11th council meeting. I wanted to double check that though.
Does that work for
Yeah, it
everyone?
sounds like we have a lot on the agenda for that Monday too.
Yes, we will, yeah.
Okay.
And then the Region 8 Small Cities meeting, for this quarter is March 21st in Beaver. You wanna explore middle of nowhere Oregon?
Hey, don't, they're okay.
It's true.
It is.
What
still
time
the
is that?
middle of nowhere.
It is, yeah, I've been-
Most of Oregon is in the middle of nowhere, so.
We are also.
Yeah.
So that's March 21st, a Thursday. What time do those happen?
11 a.m. I think it will usually start.
Before lunch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and go to that one. It's not too bad of a drive.
It's not terrible.
It's not bad.
No. And then my supplemental report I added today, the burn pile. CIS did a site visit and review of all properties for liability issues. So what instigated this is the state Supreme Court essentially dropped recreational immunity. If a city property could be used as an access point to get from point A to point B and not just recreation, the city had to maintain it for safe passage. There was a trail at one of the beach towns. They were using a trail to get from somewhere in town to the beach. They tripped, hurt themselves, sued the city for non-maintained trail. The city tried to claim recreational immunity. They went, nope, it's defined as a path to get from point A to point B. You need to maintain it. So now every city and CIS is freaking out a little bit about this. So I had CIS come do a site review of every city-owned property. We spent an afternoon going around, and the biggest thing we actually found was the burn pile. We typically have it open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The lack of signage, staff supervision, and any safety systems is a huge liability to both the city, liability to city, both in safety of the residents and no control on what is being thrown into the pile. After talking with Public Works Supervisor Price, we decided the best course of action is to close the pile. We do not have the capacity to meet the liability and safety standards. Public access to the pile will be closed at the end of March. The city will continue to do curbside pickups each spring. The next one will be the week of April 8th through 11th. Dumpster days will also continue. After discussion with Public Works Supervisor Price and Hood River Garbage, we will continue with vouchers to allow up to 3 yards of material, which is a standard truck bed, to be taken to the Hood River dump. The vouchers will be taken from May 3rd to May 11th this spring. Another round will happen in the fall.
Can I interrupt you there?
Yes.
So why are we still doing vouchers? We were told that we were gonna be able to do dumpster days back in Cascade Locks after the treatment plant was all done.
That was the original plan, but like I said, after I talked with Public Supervisor and Hood River Garbage, the best option for the city was to keep it as vouchers.
Best option, why?
City, which city?
Hey,
This wasn't on our stuff. I'm
Because it has a
sorry.
liability? Is that what you mean by the best option? I'm wondering what,
You pretty much, yeah, I mean, we have those dumpsters down there and there's nobody supervising. Yeah, we don't have the capacity to supervise what people are doing at those dumpsters, what's being thrown in them.
well, actually, we line up and there's somebody there. There is. We have to show them our ticket when we go,
Is
it's dumpster days. I know we learned.
Actually, yeah, it hasn't happened
Yeah,
since
so
I've been
what
here,
you
so
do
yeah.
is you check in with someone and they mark you off the list because they don't want more than one resident dumping more than what they're allotted to do. And we're also directed to specific dumpsters sometimes for certain things.
who
And-
manned that when they were standing there checking in people at the time? Was it Public Works?
Public Works does,
Yeah,
yes.
And I think that was
yeah.
also part of,
It's only for one day. I mean, it used to be 2, but it's only for one day. And I think we're gonna have a problem because there's people that can't transport to Hood River. And you're gonna start seeing a refrigerator on Ruckle Street, out on the side. And I think it's gonna be a problem. I would really respectfully like to not end the conversation on that.
so if they can't transport to Hood River, how are they getting it to the treatment plant then?
Oh, I can do that. I can put something in an old junky truck and get it down to the treatment plant, but I can't get it on 84 and take it to Hood River.
Councilmember Happy?
Did anybody explain to me why we have dumpster days? I mean, never lived in a city that did this, so is there, can you explain, like, what's the historical significance, how did this come to be to begin with?
How it actually came to be, I wasn't in the decision process with that, so I don't know, it just always was since I moved here.
It's a nice benefit, but
It is
it's
fantastic.
I'm just saying that, you know, I've never lived in a city that they did anything like this, and, I understand that there's frustration about the change, and we're told that it was due to the construction of the waste treatment plant, and now that's done, and now they're not.
Now they're not
doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm saying, you know, man, we still gotta get 3 yards of free disposal for free, and
But
I don't
we have
know.
to transport it on a freeway. Maybe in an open bedded truck that we're gonna worry about things falling out.
They don't give 3 yards of free disposal to the residents of Hood River. Well, you know, I don't know, you know, why we get that
If
benefit.
I could add a comment.
It was a service
Thank you.
provided by the trash company.
Thank
It was part of the.
So it's part of the contract.
It's
I
still
mean-
part of the contract.
So Councilmember Baker,
So the curbside pickup each spring, is that just yard debris?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not.
dumpster days was not just yard debris.
Correct.
Correct. So would CIS have a challenge with if our employees down there checking people in for the
No, as
day?
long as we have, some kind of system in place.
And is the garbage company willing to still supply those dumpsters?
They're
Can
willing
they
to,
come
they
back?
would, Hood River Garbage would prefer that we use a voucher system.
Councilor Happy?
Is it possible to see what's in the contract?
I can take a look, yeah, I know there is some verbiage to it, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to find out what it is that they agreed to, you know, before we then revoke our own privileges and rights, and if they agreed to provide the dumpsters, then I think we should, that's I understand that, you know, what you're saying, and I think that it's, easier for people to get something to the, here in the dumpster, but trying to transport it for 20 minutes on 84 is a totally different story.
And it does help with, and it does help with cleaning up Cascade locks.
Yes, it
It's,
does.
I know a lot of residents utilize that one day to get rid of a lot of stuff.
There's only been one dumpster day where we had dumpsters since I've been in this town,
Right,
and it was very widely well received. I mean, a lot
Right.
of participation,
Right.
people really made good use of it. And then I did have some questions about the burn pile closing. It's my understanding when we were talking about the roll carts, one of the reasons why we didn't talk about having yard waste containers was because we have the burn pile available. And I think just having one spring pickup doesn't really necessarily help people deal with their ongoing refuses from their yard.
We used to have one in the
Maybe.
fall too. We used to have pick up in the fall as well.
Maybe they should go on the. agenda.
Councilmember Baker?
Residents.
So you said after discussions with Supervisor Price, because we're now telling, we're saying, oops, sorry for what you wanted. We're asking you to be here on a Saturday, so that would mean an altering of Supervisor Price's schedule to be,
Or whatever staff is manning it, yes.
right? So,
He is used to have been doing it, so.
Maybe, since this was added, you know, since this was added after, maybe it should be on as a public discussion, so.
It's definitely a hot topic, right?
It is a hot topic.
And I think it.
Garbage is a hot topic. Yeah,
And I think, yeah, I agree.
yeah, so, and
yeah, and looking at the contract and asking Hood River, would you still bring them if we had somebody to man it? And then talking to the staff about, do you have somebody that would be willing to man it? What weekend is good? Because, yeah, I don't like to say to somebody, you must work on a day that's usually your day off. You know, it
Well,
would be
could be
nice to have that
scheduled.
discussion.
so, I think it sounds like the challenge is that it's just open, it's not manned. And that becomes the insurance problem.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah,
so,
there's
but
no
it's,
safety.
The
And
burn
even
pile
if
that
it
we
was-
were talking about.
yeah. the burn pile, thank you. So it might be, there might be some other solution. Where it's, instead of every week, maybe it's quarterly or something, so then at that point, it's manned and. Would CIS have a problem with that?
Burn pile?
Burn pile,
Okay, because there's two different conversations
Yes.
going on.
we're talking burn pile,
Okay.
Burn pile, we're trying to find a
Yes.
solution for how we can.
Saturday.
right.
Because that's what you.
I realize that,
Okay.
I realize, yeah, yeah. So there's just, I'm just wondering if there's a way we can kind of compromise.
And we don't want people.
Because I understand from an insurance standpoint, and that lawsuit is very big in Oregon. It was a very big topic at all the, and I know that's one thing we don't wanna. We don't.
CIS has got our back. They're trying to.
Yeah, they do. They're
protect the
trying to
city.
protect us.
And protecting the city affects residents as well.
Right, right. Hang on, Councilman Crompton, you had your hand up.
I think that this should definitely go on to an action item to talk about this more. But at the same time right now, like, if we as a council want want this to happen, it'll happen. Like, yes, it might suck for our employees to have to rearrange a schedule for a day, but like, they're gonna work the time that they need to, and
Mhm.
like, if they take a Monday off, and they work a Saturday, then it's not that bad, big a deal, and like, if it's in our contract that whoever has to do this for us,
Right,
then that's like, there's not like a,
For the-
oh, for the
bin, for the
Bin.
dumpster days.
for the dumpster days.
Yeah,
Then it's not really like ask if they're willing to do it. They're
Right.
obligated to do it, but that only if it's in our language that they have to provide that.
so it sounds like a couple of things. Check and see if it's in the contract as far as in regards to dumpster days. See if that's in there, and then two, insurance wise to see if CIS has a challenge with if we just open it on specific days where it was manned and this is. So then it's not just open to the public and it's being supervised.
And I'm only talking about the dumpster days, which is a planned scheduled thing. If you wanna try to do something with the burn pile,
It's two different debris too.
yes.
So,
And if we wanna do something different with the burn pile, where we make quarterly or a few special days, like a Friday, every so often, or
However.
whatever,
yeah,
that's, and like, as long as our insurance and things and liability is covered, that's what really matters.
Councilmember Baker.
And on that note, I would like to check into what other cities do with their yard debris, because burning it is archaic and polluting. There's other things you can do. We don't need to keep doing it because we've always done it. There's shredding it, because there is a problem if you're burning poison oak, poison ivy. There's a problem if you're burning, people aren't careful with what they put in. So I don't wanna keep pushing for something that I don't believe in.
Okay, Councilmember Happy.
I know that I don't remember, what the rules were on disposal of yard waste in Hood River as a Hood River resident, but they have yard waste disposal at the dump, and it is separate. And I'm just wondering, instead of it being burned, could there be a dumpster that's provided that we put our yard waste in and it's picked up and hauled off and could, goes to the mulch pile, the compost pile at the dump. I think we should be looking at other options there. But I know that we don't have yard waste disposal. We want people mowing their grass, but what are we supposed to do with their grass clippings? What are we supposed to do with our, the tree clip, when we trim our trees and we want to encourage people to maintain their properties, but are we supposed to haul it in our back of our Subaru on 84 to the dump? I mean, that's not
Right.
really practical. So I
Sounds like-
think it's,
Look into some alternatives.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
We also don't want people, burning it and not knowing how to burn it and being safe, because they don't wanna pay the $10 fee or whatever it is for a burning permit. And I can't stand the smell of it. When my neighbors burn, I have to close all the windows and it still comes in the house. So I would prefer that it not be on individual yards everywhere, so.
Sounds like
Yeah,
there's some alternatives.
Pete said is that many cities, when I'm trying to have the compost
Mhm.
bin, it's free. So looking into, I don't know if they have that in Hood River.
I love that.
I think that we did pay a slightly less lower charge because we didn't get the yard waste disposal bins. We just got the recycle and the garbage bins. There wasn't, I don't remember if there's a cost to have the yard waste bins. And they were provided, but I don't know if they charge you the same way to do it, the garbage and recycling, but. I think we pay a lower rate though than the
I'll look into it.
residents pay for garbage because we don't have that bin.
And just a reminder that the dumpster days coincided with the garage sale, after garage sale weekend, so people can sell. Got rid of it.
Wanna-
That's just a quick
Sorry.
little report there.
It's a hot topic. It's okay. It's all right.
Garbage is
Always garbage.
It is a hot topic. That's all right.
It's a burn bin.
It's okay.
Last item is the downtown revitalization project. As mentioned before, Amanda Ferguson from U of O helped the city create a scope of work and narrative for the DLCD grant to revitalize downtown. We were awarded the grant in December and signed the agreement with DLCD at the end of January. I worked with Amanda to finalize the scope of work for the project. It is attached for review. We're meeting with her virtually Monday on March 4th to kick off the project. The first step is to create a project advisory committee. Will be a selective and open recruitment. It'll be selective to get a good representation of both the businesses and the property owners that are affected, mainly in the downtown region, and an open recruitment to get at least 3 members of the general community at large. Once the committee is selected, we will hold an official kickoff meeting. I would like to have 1 or 2 council members help me recruit members to the committee.
And how are they filling out a committee form? Is this gonna go into is this similar to other committees?
Yes, it'll still go through the same similar approval process, yeah.
Do you know about how many people? would be
I
available?
talked to Amanda, we didn't really set on a number, I would guess probably at least 9, I mean, if we're gonna have 3.
That should be a lot.
Yeah, it'll be a good size, a minimum of 9, maybe up to 15. I'd say the more the better.
So are you gonna put this in the socials and the?
Yes, I'm meeting with
Put it on the
Amanda,
website.
yeah, I'm meeting with Amanda on Monday to kind of go over all this, but yeah, we'll hopefully get it up early next month.
And we do now have a fillable form for committees.
Yes, we do.
And it tells them where to submit it electronically.
Good.
I don't remember. But I'll look.
That would be nice, okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. Mayor and council comments. All right. Councilmember Miller, would you like to go first?
Well, actually, I have nothing to report, so. All I've been doing is hiding out and taking the drugs they give me.
And we hope you feel better. Thank you. Councilmember Crompton?
I want to thank all of our staff. I want to give a special shout out to Chief Logan. A couple weeks ago, I was not here because my dad was visiting in town and had a medical emergency, and they were quick and speedy in their response and in action, and everything is now better and we're past the danger, so just want to give them a good shout out. It was excellent, professional, fast. And that's all I have.
Councilmember Baker. Again, I want to thank, the staff and, the electrical report. I want to thank Janice for the tourism report. So exciting that we have new member as well. And to that, facility and to our committees. I want to thank, special thanks to Maryland Place for staying last meeting with me to check all the links because it had been reported and I, somebody, that had reported to me their links are working and I want to thank you, Marilyn, for making sure they all worked. And I did reach out to folks and said, hey, by the way, they're working, so it must come from your end. And still some people are having trouble. So I just really want to thank you for that because, and I apologize for saying, oh no, they're not working when they were. So thank you for that. I want to thank, City Administrator Bennett for doing so much work and including gender inclusive language in our documents, particularly in this time when there's some horrible things happening. And I want to, I want to report that I went to the chamber, so did some other people. That was great that Hood River County Chamber came, that apparently our city is a member of, and it sounded to me like they want to be more inclusive of our needs. So, I know that Councilmember Happy had reported good things about them before. So they are, waiting to hear from folks in Cascade Locks to how can they be of help to us? So that was good to hear. And just to report on the Main Street, because we are still at Connected Communities level, as we're moving into a nonprofit and have not heard yet if that has moved to affiliated, but it will be guided. And so this is exciting that they can also look at the Downtown Economic Development Plan, a Main Street Committee, and hopefully, coalesce with all that in our strategic plan while the port is working on their strategic plan. And then there will be, an outreach to the community to get more community involved. So that's exciting for that. And I think that's it. Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Farrell?
First of all, thank you everyone for bearing with me for opening that can of worms. I just had a couple of things. Do we know when the next charter review meeting is going to be?
March 6th.
And, I heard from one person that was trying to get on, they were never let in on Zoom. She said she was never let into the whole time, so.
Oh, interesting, okay.
Okay, and then, are they gonna be giving us minutes, city council minutes?
When we have them, yes.
Okay, so the first meeting was just to appoint who's in charge of the meeting and when the next meeting is gonna be. There was nothing.
Correct, yeah, it was, to elect the chair and vice chair and how the committee wanted to move forward. They wanted to review other charters as well as the League of Oregon Cities model charters.
And if the minutes are done, but they haven't been approved, then they will come.
Thank you.
Put in the packet.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then the other thing, was everyone knows about the house that got demolished on Wanapah. You drove by it, so I'm sure you
Oh, yeah.
did too.
Yeah.
So there's a bench that's out in front that was, put together for somebody that was, excuse me, was, very important to the community. Sorry. Anyway, we want to make sure that that stays there and that, geez. Anyway, we'd like to maybe make it a historical monument for Cascade Locks. And I don't know how we go about doing that. Do you know which bench I'm talking about? Annie's bench.
We can talk more about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Happy?
I just wanted to thank, City Administrator Bennett for his work with the finance policy and the employee handbook. Those are big projects. And specifically, I thought that the discussion around the finance policy was a good example of the way I see things are supposed to work. It's kind of gone on, and we've had quite a few revisions. There's been a lot of community involvement on it. I feel like council heard those comments, and those comments were acted on by you, and it's now evidenced in our new manual, especially about the purchase orders. So I just thought it was a good example of the way that we're all working together, and we don't always agree. But we hear each other, we're listening to each other, and we're making progress. So I think that's great. Ms. Pruitt, thank you for continuing to show up and share your perspective on issues. I know that we don't always agree about things, but I appreciate the input. Janice, thank you for being here this evening as well, and all that you're doing to support tourism. Your reports are always so clear and concise, and appreciate the work that you're doing. And that's all that I have. Oh, and then Mr. Turkington for being here tonight. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. And the fact that he's ahead of our goal of 25% on the LED light upgrades. It just, and again, I think that his forward thinking and having, them here for the storm and then putting them to use, for the fire mitigation and I and Warren, was a great example of good leadership and supervision. So that's all I got.
All right, thank you. First of all, thank city and staff, Administrator Bennett, thank you for, that is a big job, the finance and the employee handbook. I know since 2020, going to conferences and whatnot, it's a hot topic as well. Thank you, Derek, for presenting, and it was nice to hear that we're ahead of schedule on that a little bit. Also, buddies, I don't know if y'all got a copy of this. I want to say congratulations, way to go, Buddies Arcade, and they did, she said on here, they got everything on their list, their wish list for the art supplies, so that was the good stuff to hear. Thank you, Janice, for coming in and presenting, very articulate, lots of information and very, very helpful. And then also, thank you to Councilmember Happy for stepping up to the last minute and running the last meeting. My son, he's gonna be okay. He has 8 broken bones in his back, but he's not paralyzed and he's walking with a walker and he's doing okay. So, I appreciate it. Thank you for stepping up and running the meeting. And that's it. That's all I have. So we need a motion to adjourn.
I'm on the adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second that.
All right, discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Councilmember Compton.
Aye.
Emmeline Baker.
I
Farrell.
Aye.
Happy.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Mayor Fallon.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.